Collectors, welcome to the SOS Show. Here we are in Louisville, Kentucky. It's the middle of February, 24th of February, and I must say it's kind of cold here right now. That's why I'm a little shivering here, but it's still, the weather's good. At least there's no snow or rain, and they got a huge turnout here. Unbelievable crowd, 1,600 tables with a 500 table waiting list. And they got a new rule this year too. Everybody's got to stay doing business, table intact until 3 o'clock on Saturday. Anybody puts a Hitler Youth leader away, you're thrown out of the show and you lose your tables. So, got to watch that, but that's a good thing. When you have a full show like that, you make the rules. So we're having a lot of fun here. There's a ton of stuff, and we'll take you inside and show you what's going on a little bit. Well, we've come inside of the hall, and you can get some kind of an idea of how big the show is. 1,600 tables throughout here, and next year they've rented the hall that goes next to it, and that's going to allow them to have another 500 tables. So this show is really growing, and it shows you where Militaria is coming too. We've always said it was a good investment over the years, but even in my wildest dreams, I never thought it would get to this point where 1,600 dealers would want to buy and sell this stuff. I mean, it's just great. Okay, we've stopped here at a table, and who do we come across? My old buddy, Serge Mache. Serge, how long you been collecting?
Long time, late 60s.
Late 60s?
Yeah.
And you got out for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, I was out for about 25 years and then got back into it again.
We're sure glad you did.
Well,
Collector's just one of the nicest men in the hobby. Does a great job, very honest, and he's a real good friend of mine. And Serge and I wanted to share a dagger that was recently acquired. This is a Feldherrnhalle, as you can see. And Serge, I believe this dagger came out of the woodwork from a family not too long ago.
Family in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Through a picker, got it from the vet's son.
Right.
And I contacted him, and there were a couple other people who wanted it. I was very fortunate to be able to get this one.
Right. I remember I was contacted, but I didn't have the money or something at the time, and since you're so rich, you beat me out of it. What's interesting about this piece, though, most Feldherrnhalles that we see are all made of extruded aluminum. This particular piece was, we think, made later on after the war started. Feldherrnhalles were virtually made one-off. So each and every one is really kind of a little different from the other. One of the things that you can look for and go to the bank with Feldherrnhalle daggers, they have a little flaw in the scabbard pebble pattern on the border. And you can see where these two lines do not connect. And it's the same on the other side. That's one of the, on a true Feldherrnhalle, you'll always see that flaw. There's also some pebbling that was added here where the stamping didn't come out very good from the factory, and they hand tooled that. Am I correct in this?
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. Now if you look at it, the fittings, except for the material they're made out of, these are probably, I hate to say it, but they're probably pot metal, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and the scabbard is steel though, and it's all coated with a gray finish. Now when this dagger was brand new, it probably had a silvered finish. Can't we see just a little bit of silvering?
Just a touch, yes.
Just a touch, yeah.
It's very light.
Yeah. And it has a Bakelite grip on it, not the wood grip. And I think the grip inside is notched, isn't it?
It's notched.
What's the numbers on
2.
this? Number 2, yeah. The top of the crossguard top has an interesting screw for takedown, and you can easily disassemble one of these. I'm not going to do it because we don't have time in this video. But I'll show you the blade too. Beautiful blade. The Feldherrnhalle blades are much longer than what you see on other daggers. Notice how great the etching is on the Alles für Deutschland. And of course it has the Eichhorn trademark on it. So this one is it's kind of a variation, but only because it was made late and aluminum was needed for the war material problem, right? And this is
exactly
what they did.
I concur with everything you say, Tom.
Yep. What's a piece like this worth today, Serge?
Well,
Just roughly.
there's only probably about 20 or 22 known existing in collections today.
Right.
There were no more than, by some suggestions, only about 60 of them actually made.
But nobody
And
really knows.
Nobody
for sure.
really knows, but there's no more than 25. It's a $100,000 dagger today.
You think it is, yeah. Well, that's great. Well, we really appreciate you sharing this.
Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you
We
for
wish you a
coming
lot
over.
of luck with everything you do, because you're the best.
Thank you, sir.
Collectors, this is a man you can deal with. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, sir. We've stopped here at the table of Mr. and Mrs. Robert Treadwin from the UK.
That's right.
Don't you have a shop in London?
No,
or
we used to have a shop in Camden Passage, Islington's most trendiest area of London. We're on the internet and we're doing all the major shows like the Max, the SOS, German shows, basically everywhere we're travelling now.
I know you from the old
When I was a
Greenbelt
little boy,
days.
that's right.
I think from about 1977.
Must be, yeah. I mean, I've been coming to the States for 30 odd years. Yeah, we're building up a lot of customers. I knew you when you was even younger.
Aha! I probably had hair then.
Maybe. And I certainly did.
You have a wide assortment of stuff, Bob.
Yeah, well, we bring a limited amount of stuff
Oh, you can only bring
because
so
of the
much.
weight,
Yeah.
the weight restrictions now. But we try to bring a cross section so that to give a more sample of what our website does,
Right.
and just to meet our customers. And
Do you guarantee everything you sell?
Everything we sell is guaranteed lifetime.
I got to think of something that I bought from you that I can return just
You
to
can
see.
always return it back to me at the price I sold it to you for.
Sounds fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this silver thing here. What the heck
That's the
is
silver
this?
Luftwaffe honor goblet.
What was the purpose of these?
These were awarded to fighter pilots and flying personnel as an award just under the Knight's Cross. When you got the German Cross, this was the award you got after.
I
But
know.
beautiful quality.
It is fantastic
With the
quality.
Fighting Eagles,
Yeah.
and they had one in Imperial German times, and that was on displayed on balls.
Have you ever had any of the Imperial
Yeah,
ones?
which are
They're
worth
really
probably
rare, aren't
very,
they?
very
Yeah.
rare. Very rare. This is rare because it's a solid silver one. Normally, the later ones are alpaca.
Let's just show the viewers here. This
You can
one,
see the marks.
the one on the right is marked alpaca,
And then this is the
and see
German
the silver hallmarks in there. Now it's interesting too on this particular goblet.
This is where Tom dents it.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
I have
They're
to
getting
leave my
priced down.
mark. I have to leave my
Yeah.
mark. I noticed this is made out to a Feldwebel.
Yeah.
So the man that won it wasn't even an officer.
No.
A lot of these were awarded to non-coms, weren't
That's
they?
right.
Yeah.
That's right. The quality is fantastic.
Boy, it is. What's something like this worth these days?
$6,000,
Yeah.
$5,000. Depends on what the guy did,
Yeah.
Really. That's all sorts of ways. But they're just a nice artistic item.
Do the silver ones sell for more than the
Oh
alpaca?
yes, yeah, much.
About 1,000, 1,500
yeah,
difference?
again, depending on who the guy was,
Yeah.
but much more.
Well, that's very interesting, Bob. We really appreciate you taking the
problem.
time.
Nice to see you
And
again.
it's great to see you.
And we hope
Thank you.
to see you all at the Max next year. We'll be there.
You better.
We'll
You
be
better.
there.
Okay. Well, we're traveling down the aisles here at the SOS Show. And who do we run into but Robin Hansen? Where are you from, Robin?
I'm from North Dakota, Mr. Wittmann.
North Dakota.
Yes.
Not too many dealers from North Dakota.
Not too many people from North Dakota.
You're right on that too. We were kind of attracted by, it's kind of interesting to see two Hitler bus this size.
Yeah.
This is the hero size, is it? Is that what they call it?
I haven't heard that term, but this is like double life size.
Double life size.
They're both busts in bronze. This is a Schleppstein was the sculptor on this one. This one is a Lieberman. And we understand from other people more knowledgeable than I that there were about 16 different sculptors in Germany during the Nazi period. So there are a number of sculptors that made these, so they're all slightly different.
Well, I think they needed a lot of busts of Hitler all around the country, right?
Yeah.
Because he was a pretty popular fella.
Well, they pretty much forced people to have his image in every home, you know.
I guess
or you got
that's
in
what it
trouble.
was. Yeah. Well, we see these today. You wonder at the end of the war and all with the, when wars are over, the enemy's hated, of course, and I guess a lot of these were destroyed, weren't they?
That is correct.
Especially for a nice fellow like Hitler.
Well, there was a certain stigma against him at the end of the war.
Boy, you better believe it. Yeah, absolutely. You're right there.
And there's a lot of famous pictures of busts and statues being torn down and run over with tanks or blown up by artillery.
Right.
So not too many of these busts have survived.
Well, it's good at least some are saved for the sake of history anyhow.
Yes, we don't condone any of the political aspects of it,
Of course
but the
not.
historic and the aspects of the craftsmanship is quite fascinating. It was a very fascinating and turbulent period of mankind. And we have kind of taken to heart your scholarship, writing books of the period and the fine job that you do. So we were this is a niche that we're thinking of taking pictures and getting research together, and we're thinking of at least making a pamphlet of some of the various
To show what was made.
to show what was made.
Absolutely.
Record it.
Well, we won that war, and we got their stuff. They don't have our stuff.
Yes.
So it's one way to look at it. I mean, these are not the kind of things, collectors, that you can put in your living room, but it is history, let's face it, and it does have an interesting aspect about it. You got an SS helmet here.
Yes.
What's so great about that helmet?
Well, this particular one is a what they call a transitional helmet within the hobby, and this is basically a World War I helmet that was carried over as inventory, and then as the Germans and the Nazis took over Germany in 1933, they were using up any stores of parts that they could get, and so they used leftover World War I helmets, put new decals and liners in them, and then used them before.
That's why we see the air vents. We call them Frankenstein helmets.
Yes.
That's the World War I vintage there. So this is a good helmet.
Well, yes, it is, but like all things SS, there are questions because there are people that are hurting the hobby really by reproducing things. So it's always we have to be very careful.
Yeah, they buy the decals or something and slap them on there.
Yes, luckily, through efforts like yourself and other people that have emulated your scholarship, they have books and documents and dealers that can look at the decals and categorize them and make sure that things are known, how things were done and how the little details and nuances of the decals
It's a shame we have to do that, but it's become necessary.
Yeah, it is terrible.
What's a helmet like this worth these days?
An original helmet like that, this one's got a couple little cracks in the decal, so that would not allow it to be, collectors are very picky.
Fussy, yeah.
They want everything just so.
Yeah.
So because the helmet has some cracking in it, that hurts the value somewhat, but an upwards retail value of that would be about $12,000.
Wow, that's a good hit.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
I thank you very much.
It's always nice to see you at these great shows.
Well, I'd much rather talk to you than many of the national newscasters.
Thank you very much. Well, we're coming through the aisles again, and who do we discover here but Jerry Bell? Jerry, you've been at this for many years, haven't you? About 40 or so?
I think I went to my first gun show in California in 1965.
Well, you're a real long-termer then.
I walked out there with, I mean, Hitler Youth knives were like $6. That was the going price.
And they were real then too,
They were
right?
all real, yeah. Everything was real.
You've always been a collector that, well, a dealer that is a collector too. You have your personal collection, and you always liked untouched things, didn't you?
Well, touch back, you know.
But
The
you know,
veterans,
yeah, you never clean anything, or
That's
no?
not a good idea. Try not to.
Yeah,
And I learned I had to become a dealer too in order to continue to collect, because you just can't afford to do both.
well, that's
On a
very
set-
true.
On a wage, a blue
Yeah.
collar wage.
Yeah. Well, you brought to the show a lot of it's a lot of different things. I see some American, some German. You've got an Imperial, Third Reich. Yeah, what is this eagle we're looking at here, Joe?
That eagle is a political leader's eagle. We think it was on top of the standard that they carried when they had the parade. But
Oh, I
this
see.
one apparently may have been on a building or the front of a building.
It looks like it's made out of plaster, is it?
Yeah, it was damaged, probably stolen by an American, not stolen, liberated,
Liberated, yeah.
by an American soldier
Yeah.
at an opportune moment, and he actually bent that lag bolt to get
Wow.
it into his duffel bag.
Yeah,
Or the
you know,
back
you're
of his
probably
Jeep.
right. That's exactly how that happened. I noticed here you showed me an SS dagger. It's a chain dagger, and it's got some interesting aspects about it. Now, you got this dagger right out of a house, didn't you?
Yeah, this came out of the state of Maine in a household auction about a summer ago. I kept it in my own collection for a while because I just sort of fell in love with the condition of the scabbard and the paint.
Now, you know, just to give you a couple of tidbits here, collectors, if you look at this dagger, you'll notice that the cross guards and the scabbard throat, as well as the lower scabbard mount, are all a duller color, which is an indication that these fittings are nickel, not nickel plated. And then you look at the chain itself and the upper scabbard fitting and the center mount. These are nickel plated. They're not solid nickel. A lot of collectors would go, oh, I don't like that. It's not all the same metal. But see, the hardware producers made the chain assembly as well as the upper scabbard mount and the center mount. So the producer of the dagger bought these pieces from the hardware maker, and when the dagger was new and all shiny, it all looked the same. You agree with that, Jerry?
I agree with it. I perhaps thought at first maybe this was a conversion dagger
Right.
from an enlisted man's
Yep.
to a model 1936, but
It is not.
Probably not, I'm guessing, because the blade is unmarked.
Right.
So it had to
So
always...
there's another interesting aspect too. There's a group of gal mark here, and usually these daggers don't have that. They're usually plain on the back, but we do see the gal marks from time to time, and we just think it's kind of a using up of parts, don't we?
I was always guessing that perhaps this could have been a put together for American soldiers as a souvenir.
No,
No?
no, absolutely not. No.
It's got too much age.
Now, if it were that, it would have an RZM blade or something like that. This is a factory unmarked blade. It's got a couple of chips in it, but if anything, that gives it character, right?
Yeah, sure. We know it was worn in there.
What do you figure a nice dagger like this is worth these days?
I figure that dagger wholesale was $5,500, retail around $65.
Yeah, I would say maybe even a little more. It's a nice dagger, yeah.
Lovely scabbard paint. That's why
Isn't that incredible? All original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it almost falls into a category of a Type 3. I know you established a Type 1 and a Type 2, but you usually see, don't you, a blued scabbard with chrome scabbard fittings?
Not all the time. Not all the time. What is unusual a little bit with this one is it has two screws that hold the center mount, and then you usually do see an anodized scabbard where this one is painted. So it just goes to show you can't say anything is always 100% one way or another way in this hobby, or you'll wind up being a fool. You got to be able to accept some of the things that happen during the time.
How about that little clip on there? Is that kind of unique?
Yeah.
Obviously homemade, but
it was worn with that. A lot of times we'll see key rings that were put on there by the original wearer.
Yeah.
Well, it's really great to talk to you.
Thank you,
And
Tom.
we wish you continued success with your business. And
You're the man we always thought of and put the hobby into the three-piece suit.
well, the three pieces kind of not today.
Not
But,
today.
well, thanks a lot. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Yes, sir.
Good seeing you.
Yep.